Welcome to the Balanced Badass Podcast, the show for multitaskers determined to stay balanced and badass without losing their minds. Every week, we help you manage your overflowing calendar and household, making sure you still have time to breathe, laugh, and savor that much-needed glass of wine at the end of the day. Think of this podcast as your weekly dose of practical advice, humor, and tough love, just like catching up with a friend who really gets it. I'm Tara Kermit, your personal growth coach, helping you handle how was your day without a meltdown. Now let's get into today's episode. Okay, so today is Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. It is the day after the election here in the United States, and even though this is out of my regular schedule and a little off topic to what I typically talk about, I just felt the weight on my heart that I needed to talk this out, even if no one's listening. So I'm feeling a lot of things right now. A mix of disappointment, shock, sadness, disbelief, and honestly, some despair. I know a lot of us are trying to make sense of these feelings, and I just wanted to share my thoughts and maybe help us all find a little clarity together. For a long time, I believed that even if we disagreed on politics, there was a deeper set of values that most of us shared. Values like caring for one another, fairness, and the idea that every person, every human matters. I thought these values held us together as a country. But when I look at these election results, I see that not only did we have a candidate win the electoral vote, but also the popular vote. And it feels like the foundation I had trusted has been compromised. I think what's hitting me so hard is realizing just how much hope I had. Hope that we as a country were moving toward more compassion, more empathy, more care for those who are struggling. I put a lot of faith in the idea that most people genuinely wanted a better, kinder world. But this decision, this vote, it makes me feel like we're moving in the opposite direction. And as I was starting with this podcast, a lot of advice I had been given was to avoid controversial topics, keep the peace, and definitely don't talk about politics. But the thing is, this isn't just about politics, it's about values. And I talk a lot about values alignment in my work because I know how important it is to feel connected to your environment, to feel like the places you live and work reflect what you stand for. And right now, I feel very unsettled. It's like the values I care about most, the values of compassion, love, and support for others, they don't match the values that seem to be guiding our country. And it hurts because these aren't just abstract values. This is about real people, our friends, our family members, our neighbors, who may suffer from policies or decisions made by someone who absolutely does not prioritize their needs. For me, that's hard to accept. And maybe that's what's making this feel like a heartbreak, because it's not just political, it's deeply personal. And I think that's where the despair is coming from, because it's not just about the policies. It's about what this says about humanity and our responsibility to each other. I really wanted to believe that we could care about everyone, especially those who don't have the same privileges or protections. And seeing a majority vote for someone whose values feel opposite to that, let me tell you, it's heavy right now. There's also this feeling of loss around what we call the American dream. The American dream is supposed to be about freedom, opportunity, and a fair shot for everyone. But right now, it's starting to feel more like a nightmare where freedom and fairness are slipping away. And that's a hard thing to accept, especially for those of us who hold these ideals so close to our hearts. Now, I don't have a clear answer for how to fix this because I'm still in my funk right now, and I don't even know how to immediately feel better. But what I do know is that it's okay to feel unsettled, to feel hurt, and honestly to grieve for the world that we hoped for. Maybe, though, this can also be a time to dig even deeper into what we believe. Stand even stronger in our values, and to keep finding ways to show up with love and compassion no matter what. Now, I know talking about this might mean that I lose some listeners or followers, and honestly, that's okay with me. If this message doesn't sit right with some people, it likely means that we're not aligned, and I'm at peace with that. Because if we want to live and work in line with our values, we sometimes have to let go of people who don't share the same values. And while it can feel hard, it's also freeing. For me, this isn't about creating a space where everyone agrees. It's about creating a space where we care for each other and respect the basic dignity of every human. So if someone decides this message isn't for them, I'm okay letting them go. Because in the end, that means the people who stay, you who are listening, you're my people. The ones who believe in a world that's built on compassion, respect, and real, authentic human connection. So anyways, thanks for listening and for giving me the space to process this. I've been dealing with all of the emotions today, as I'm sure many of us have been. But what I do hope is that we can all find a way to keep moving forward, even if it's just one small caring step at a time. I promise I'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming tomorrow. And just promise me this. Please take care of yourself. Thanks for hanging out with me on the Balanced Badass podcast. I hope today's episode brought you a little more balance and a lot more badass in your day. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. Your support helps more multitaskers like you find the show, and I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, take care of yourself and make good choices, friend. I'll catch you next week.